a lot because I'm also a person who runs away from tough conversations sometimes. Like I'm like, you know what?
I'm out.
Nah, life is too short. I just like, nah, life is too short for me to be bothered about this conversation. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. And I've done that from time to time. Not good, really not good. But I
Yeah.
think you definitely have to start from just acknowledging that that's such a messed up way of seeing life, to say, running away from hard conversations all the time. You self-sabotage a lot, and I've done that. I've self-sabotaged a lot, and this is also probably one of the reasons why at this, age, I'm still single, not in a fully committed relationship, because I do self-sabotage a lot, and I do run away from some of these tough conversations because I'm like,
Hi guys, welcome back to Below the Surface, conversations for men by men. My name is Kudakwasim Shaike. I am your host. At Below the Surface, we have conversations with men about their lives, the things that affect them, the challenges they're going through, but also their hopes and dreams for the future. In this week, I'll be talking to Prince Abudu. Prince is a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University, but he's also my friend, a very close friend of mine that I grew up with in Czech.
So my first person to do this online, so like, this is strange for me, like in as much as it's strange for you, you feel me?
Yeah, man, I feel you, but excited to be here.
Yeah, bro. How do you feel right now? You got your cup of tea, bro?
Yeah, I got my cup of tea with like Batman type things. I've been rewatching the Batman series, so
Okay. That's nice, bro. That's nice. So I wanna understand, because I feel like, we've been friends for a long time, right? But
yeah.
I don't remember us getting like real and deep about our lives and the things that we're battling within our lives. And I want to understand, like, within our relationship, what do you think has stopped either of us of taking that step?
I think there's many factors, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, I'll give you some very silly thing I used to do.
Yeah.
I used to think that it was not appropriate for me to have a video conversation with another guy for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have a reason why I thought this.
Yeah.
It was just a feeling that I had, right? It was
Yeah.
just all these little ideas, that you just come up with that form your identity. And then you don't really have a reason for it. But then, as time went on, I figured, no, you could actually really, develop really strong relationships with other men as your friends, and learn from them and talk about how they feel and their emotions about certain topics. And life is much better if you do that.
Yeah.
So this is also like a point of improvement for me, is like just learning how to open up more to other men, like approaching my brothers. My brothers, right? Adventure and Sudden.
Yeah.
We actually never talk. Like when you text, it's like, hey bro, how you doing? Then he's like, cool. Then I'm like, good, done. What the fuck?
Like, I want to get deeper with this, and ask, like, why? How do you feel in those times when you're like, nah, I should just say hi, like whatever, like, and then just move on? Like, what is like your thought process during that time, and like, how do you get to a place where you're just like, you know what, it's okay, like this is enough, or like feeling like, feeling like you can't express more to your brothers, right?
Yeah, I know where the issue is, at least for me, right? Just being, being born as a boy child, and being born to growing into a man. The things that actually happen every day around you sort of reinforce this stereotype that you can't show weakness. So I personally try as much as I can to project strength. And I believe my brothers try to do the same. Like, by the time my brother comes to me and say, hey Prince, this thing is not working fine, can you help me?
Yeah.
It would have taken him days to actually, come to that.
To
because
come to that place, yeah.
Him thinking that he's
Yeah.
telling me and asking for help for something is
Yeah.
actually, showing weakness, and it goes against everything that we've been taught, you know what I'm saying?
So do you think, I want to make this an open question, and like,
Yeah.
also I want to prime this by saying that I want you to answer it honestly, and not, don't worry about any other conversation that I've had that you've seen or had, or like what you think like would be the appropriate response, right? Because like, we are living this kind of lifestyle, and we are doing these things we're doing as men or as friends because for a reason, right? Because maybe we believe that this thing actually works. So I want to start by asking you, like, do you think that showing strength all the time as men in between friendships or in between our communities is like the way to go? And if you think so, why?
So, yeah, this is a very hard question,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
but I'm trying to think. Just give me a moment, like trying to see where I stand with this.
yeah.
I think you can still show strength.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with showing strength. In fact, it's good for men to show strength. And this is just good, from many perspectives. Like, for example, even if you look like in a structure of like from evolutionary topics, if you're a man and you want to find a mate, usually a mate selects the best strong man, right? So I think it's like a thing that has always just been there, that men should always show strength. But what I think, what I do myself is I try to find where the balance is. Like, try to show as much strength as I can without bearing too much debt. That's going to make me break at some point. So I try to show as much strength as I can. And then for the points that I know I need help, I do more work to get help, because sometimes your strength is actually in showing your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses and acknowledging it. But it all starts by just being mindful of yourself, mindful of when you're happy and when you're not. Because if you're not mindful, if you don't know when you're happy or when you're not, you're always going to be in this default, let me show strength. But if you know when you're not happy, if you're mindful of that state, then you can be like, okay, I'll try to project strength, but I have to fix this. I have to fix what's making me not happy.
How does showing strength look like for you right now in your life?
Yeah, so for me right now, showing strength, there's sort of many different areas, right? One thing that no one can convince me otherwise is that I shouldn't be able to provide for myself or my family. I need to be able to show my strength in being financially stable. And I'm just saying financially stable because this is what, the 21st century world is about, right? It's about, do you have a good paying job? Do you actually have a job? Can you pay your bills? Can you pay your phone bill? So I believe men should still be able to provide, for themselves. And if they have a family, for their family. And even if you are in a household where perhaps the woman earns more, I think that's totally fine. But as a man, you should still be able to bring something to the table, right? Because equality starts when you provide something. So I still believe that I should be financially stable and I should assert my strength. So I invest a lot of time and effort in myself to make sure that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I am very comfortable. This is very important for me, like the way I manage my credit, the way I do investments, or the way I educate myself. So I show that strength. Then the other part is with family in general. So my mom also has this thing of not talking about issues because she doesn't want to stress me. And I also have this thing about not talking about issues because I don't want to stress her. Right? So I'll go through a lot of major problems, like, I'll go through a lot of major problems, whether they're health related or what. And sometimes my mom never knows. If I'm fighting with my academic supervisor, my mom never knows because I don't want to stress her. But this is also, trying to project that strength that ultimately might actually become an issue because, moms and mothers can actually be a pillar of support.
Damn, that's real. So in over the past year, what are some of the things that you felt like maybe you projected strength but actually felt really weak?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Really weak. I mean, this happens a lot in the sort of in our academic settings, right? Because being an academic here in Oxford, you always have to project strength, and you actually always have to show that you're the star student. But then, in retrospect, you are not the star student because you came here. You were the star student from wherever you came from. There are like thousands of other students who are much better than you, right? So you don't want to look like it was a mistake for you to even get accepted to Oxford. This is why many people in Oxford are super stressed, and many people in Oxford have this, this issue of always trying to show their best self. All the events you go to, you have to stand tall. You have to talk like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I've had like a lot of bumpy, rides in studying for my PhD in computer science here.
Yeah.
And, times when I actually thought that I was not going to make it. I just thought that, this PhD is not going to happen. I'm going to drop out. I started an application to business school mid my PhD, wanting to drop out. And this was a very vulnerable point for me because I felt so weak. I had nothing. All I had was that bachelor's degree from Morehouse. All my friends had it. So I basically had nothing, you know what I'm saying? So I still had to show up to events feeling great. I still have to show up to, to my lab looking like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I think that was one weak point, where I was still forced, to show strength and, keep my head up. But I just wanted to like cry. I just wanted to like, dump everything.
So did you end up crying?
No, I actually didn't cry, but then I had a lot of like days where I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't want to do it. I had a lot of days where I just woke up like maybe at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel like doing my D for work. And then I just, I just stopped. I just didn't do anything. I just like slept all day. And this happened probably, I think in my second year. It happened for, quite a good number of weeks. I think about 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks. But then I was able to, recenter myself and like, ask some fundamental questions to myself. Like, hey, why am I here in the first place? Who looks up to me? Who have I inspired before? And if I can't do this PhD for myself, I'll do it for my mother because she raised me as a single mother, and I at least owe her that to her. So asking myself and just reflecting on this and really acknowledging that this strength thing has failed. I can't always be a star student like I've been told. Helped me to like really have these reflections and bounce back up to a point where I had my exam a few weeks after, and then the assessors were like, "This is great." Then I was like, "Oh snap!" I was worried about failing, but there are other people that actually came in to see my work and said, "It's fine."
It's fine, yeah. So I have a lot of questions from that, man. I'm trying to structure them. I'm trying to structure them right? Because I feel like there's a lot there, man. There's a lot to talk about there. But I think the first question that I want to ask is like, who did you reach out to during that time?
So when I was having like, these issues, at the time, I actually remember not reaching out to anyone.
Yeah.
Nobody knew you were going through this. What?
So nobody knew that you were going through this?
No, this no one knows. Like, this is another problem
Yeah.
trying to project strength, right?
Yeah.
That no one knew. And maybe if I decided to like, not saying this is a thought I have, or thoughts that, let's say I decided to end my life because of that, no one would ever know, right?
No one would have known. Yeah.
So these are some of the, no one would ever know why. So I even had friends at the time who were more open about, they were seeing therapists, in Oxford, because they had these issues as well. Because it's a really difficult place to study, especially as a minority, but also to actually succeed and do well. So I had friends who were seeing therapists, and I just was like, nah, I'm never going to see a therapist. I was saying things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just really grateful that, I managed to pick myself up.
Yeah.
But, also in retrospect, I see the strength in, having close friends who you can chat about with. I have my housemate, I didn't even know about this. I didn't even tell my housemate about this.
Yeah. So like, I want to understand, like, because you have a friend in me, right? Like, we've been friends for years, and I didn't even know you're going through this. And you have other friends from Morehouse that you're very close to, that I'm sure didn't know about it. You have your mom.
It didn't, yeah.
Other friends in Oxford that you're close to that didn't know that you're going through this. What is it that happened that stopped you from being like, look, I want to share this so that I can find help? Like, because I'm sure, like, you knew, like, in your mind that if I talk to somebody, they could help me through this process, right? If I go to a therapist, they could probably help me walk through this thing pretty quickly, and then I'll be out of this mess really quickly. So what is it that stopped you from pursuing that when you knew that it was good for you? Because I'm getting a sense, maybe I don't want to put this on you, that I'm getting a sense from you that you knew that you needed help during that time. You knew that you may have had to be a little vulnerable, right? And tell them that this is what's actually happening in my life. And maybe take off that, like, face, right? That facade that you've been putting on, like, okay, I got this, like, I'm smart, which you are, right? But constantly, you can't always be smart, right? Something like you were saying yourself, like, you can't always be your best person. So what is the one thing that stopped you from reaching out and be like, okay, I need help? Can you guys, and pull the people in to help you?
Okay, so with that, of course, I had friends and my mom, and also, you and people from Morehouse. So my friends, Ebo and Winston. I talk to these guys, frequently, but these topics never surfaced, and we would actually never talk about this, right? So I think also the topic of, like, Oxford, we kept on getting these emails about, you have to go see a therapist and all those kind of things, like emails that gave us resources of where we would go if we wanted to see therapists and stuff. But then I just ignored it because I always had this thinking and this stereotype that, you know what, for you to see a therapist, you need to have lost your shit, absolutely. And I was like, always convincing myself that, you know what, I haven't lost my shit. I haven't lost my shit, so
so what does
I think that was also one.
What does losing your shit look like for you?
I don't know, because I don't think I've actually got to that point, but I think losing your shit is just like, you can't recenter yourself. Like, we all have things that recenter us. It could be, let's say, a girlfriend if you have one, or a fiance if you have one, or your favorite video games, like things you can interact with, or people you can interact with in your day-to-day life, or friends that can help you constantly evaluate your state of being, right?
So
I use this example.
So you're using that example, but I'm realizing you didn't use any of that. So what were you using to recenter yourself, or what did you have hope after those 3 weeks of not being able to want to wake up and do something? What was the thing that you were hoping would recenter you eventually?
Yes. So I think eventually it was I had sort of backup options, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say backup options because, you know, like I had always been a guy who, you know, had strong faith in my early years of undergrad. But then, you know, when I started my PhD, my faith really declined. You know?
Yeah.
So I had that as a backup option. I was like, you know what? If I can put myself together, maybe I need to really go back to my faith, you know, strongly, really, really strongly.
Yeah.
So there was that, but also I had this exam was really useful because I still had to do the exam even though I was, you know, having these issues.
Yeah.
So because I went to this exam half baked, you know, half my potential, and still got the affirmation and the validation from my ancestors that, hey, this is good, keep going. That really, you know, helped push me to wake up and succeed. So I think this actually goes to the point of, you know, as a man at the time, I also needed that, you know, continuous validation and affirmation, and I was not getting that. 2 years has been in, I didn't have any of that. You know, in undergrad, we have quick validation. You get your test right now, you pass it, the professor is like, oh, great kid, next time you want to do more. But in a PhD, it's a marathon, right? So no one was validating me on a constant basis. And this was really leading to a rapid decline.
Yeah, that's crazy. So do you think like your self-worth is attached to your academics?
Yeah, I think to a very large extent,
Yeah.
academics constitute a major part of my identity, just because I've only been on earth for a little less than 25 years. So if not 25 years, and, you know, a fifth of that is already just like, not even a fifth, a tenth of that. More than,
so
almost 9 years in
like,
academics, right?
So I'm guessing like when you didn't get that validation, it felt like part of your worth was missing, isn't it? Like I'm getting that sense of like you felt like you couldn't find Prince. Like you had to question like who is Prince anymore? If Prince is not like the constantly getting the good grades kid, getting the validation from the teacher's kid, like who am I, right? Like I think.
Yeah, certainly. Like, who am I? And at the time, I was like, I'm nothing, because I had been told, you know, like being a household name back home where you come from, you're like, my name was a household name in my school. Like if you say Prince Abudu, people are just thinking, oh, this guy was so good at you know, academics. And, you know, the mothers would say things like, ah, no, gona mwana wangu, which means like, you know, my kid is brilliant, excellent academically, right?
Yeah.
And they would brag to their friends. So to me, academics had always been like, you know, a massive part of myself. And then at Morehouse I was doing really well. All the professors loved me who taught me. But now at Oxford, it's a completely different game. Like no one gives you attention anymore because there are many other people like you know, even better in terms of like just, you know, academic performance and stuff. So I had to like really learn a lot and grow a lot and think, okay, I don't have to hinge myself on this one identity. Perhaps I can, you know, create other things in my life that make me feel good, and other things in my life that make me feel happy and grateful for life, and want to succeed.
So what are some of those things now that you are looking to or doing or stretching your life around to add to your identity and also give you that validation? That because let me tell you this, and I want to say this, right?
Yeah.
You are still Prince Abudu without. You could fail today, you'll still be worthy, right? You'll still be 100% worthy. You could fail an exam. That doesn't determine your worth or who you are, right? That's just something you do. It's something that's something you engage in. It doesn't mean it's not who you are. Like I'm not a software engineer, you feel me? I just do that. Like that's what I do for a living, but that's not who I am. I'm a child of God, essentially. That's the first thing. That's how I identify myself. Right? I'm a child of God. I'm a lover. I'm a giver. I'm a passionate person. That's who I am, right? The soul of God, the spirit of God lives in me, right? That's who I am. That's where I center myself. So I wanted to say this because I feel like it's so easy to have a conversation like this and forget that, right? And forget that at the essence, like at the end of the day, we can choose to attach ourselves to things. Some people, it's like, oh, I'm rich, so this is who I am, but that's not who you are, right? It's just what you do or what you have, right? But going back to the question that I asked you is like, how has your life changed now from, and how does your relationship with academics look like now after all that experiences you've been through and going through right now? Maybe you're still in there, but how does it look now? And what are you, because you said you're doing other things to kind of like remove yourself from having to feel that your identity is centered around academics.
So I mean, this has changed dramatically actually since Oxford. I've only been here for 4 years, but this place, I'm grateful for it because it has taught me to grow at a much faster pace, and it has like invalidated a lot of my assumptions and a lot of the way I have seen the world. Like I was in school, they never taught us about identity, like, hey, who you are is truly this. In school, it was just about producing the best result, and whoever produced the best result is the best kid, and you all want to be like the best kid. So just be the best kid, So it was not about explore your passions or explore the things you really care about. In Oxford, I still had to be academically successful, but I quickly learned that, I was not going to be the best academic in the world, as I had been taught before. So what I needed to do is actually find a set of things that I was going to be happy doing. And, so I kept on, I started not aiming to be an A student and started aiming to be an above average student. Like I started aiming to just succeed in my DPhil, like pass all the exams, because it's just a matter of pass or fail for the exams. There's no, layers to it. So I started aiming to just pass. Whether I pass like with the lowest pass or the highest pass, doesn't matter, right? And then I started just focusing on, okay, as a person, do I care about my fitness? And that's one thing that I also started doing, like playing football for my college, and also, running is something that I recently adopted as well. That's also becoming a big part of me, like my health, my fitness, and also, that academic success, but more importantly, investing now for my financial future. So I do things and I learn about, how do markets work, and all those kind of things that will just make me a better person in the future.
Yo, bro, like hearing this from you is just sent like shivers down my spine, and I'm so happy for you that you got to that place, because I think for the longest time I saw the unhealthy relationship you had with your academics, and it's hard to tell somebody that when it's so attached to who they are. And I couldn't wait for a day where you get to see yourself outside of that and still value yourself outside that. And like hearing the growth you've gone through, bro, like it's amazing. And I think it's only upwards from here. So I am like really touched by like seeing you going through that process and realizing that it's a part of your life, an essential part of life. And that's all it is. It's just a part of your life. And you're much more than that, and your passions get to define who you become in this world. And that's incredible, man. Like that's that. And for you,
Thanks, bro.
it's not only that, it's for you to be able to say that and admit where you were. I think admission of where you were shows that you're not there anymore, because if you're okay talking about something, it only shows that you have thought about it and dealt with it accordingly. And now you're able to look back and be like, okay, this is where I was, but that's not who I am, right? But if you're so still jumbled up in that thing, it's hard to like have a conversation about it and be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So like, it's like for you being honest about like, dude, I was seeing this in the wrong way, and I was lying to myself, and now I'm here, and I still value myself, and I found a new value in who I am. That's just incredible.